and get started, I want to welcome you to the Vic Hugo Show. Thank you for coming on. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, let the people know who you are. I know you. We go back, to high school, I believe. Yeah, if you want to introduce yourself to the fans here.
I am Christina Torres. I am a realtor with JPAR. I serve the El Paso and the Dallas-Fort Worth markets. I am in process to now expand to Huntsville, Alabama. In addition to that, my husband and I are investors. We have a couple of rental properties, and I'm also a mom to two boys. And the reason that's important to my story is I got pregnant with my oldest when I was 16.
Gotcha. Yes, yes, I do remember that. And I mean, well, look, we're gonna get into motherhood, we're gonna get into real estate, but first, okay, when I think I still kind of talked to you in during this time, and you were a producer, right, for a big for one of the news here in El Paso. I don't know which channel it was. Um, but I want to start with this because this is real huge. And nowadays, one of the biggest terms, right, one of the most popular terms is fake news. Fake news. The news has somehow, I guess they've always been like the enemy of the people. It's just not a lot of people see it that way. So I want to start with this, and then I want to get your perspective on pretty much what you think of this, or if this has some reality to it.
San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the qualities for Dallas journalism.
But
We are concerned about trouble and trending irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 San Antonio.
Okay. So I know you probably seen this video some on social media. What's your perspective on this? And I mean, is news stories more information or presentation?
A little bit of both. That's funny that you showed me that because I see that all the time on social media, and I think that's really what's dividing the country lately is stuff on social media, people sharing their opinions and sharing these articles without fact checking the source. Did it come from, like USA Today, or is it some website we've never heard of and is not, you know what I'm saying? And another thing is, to answer your other question, we in news, you do have to gather the facts. You have to try to get both sides of the story, but there are some things that I wish we could have ran and we couldn't, and it's one of the reasons why I don't think I would go back to it now.
Yeah, because I look, when I was in college, that's the route I wanted to go, right? I wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to, more of a putting myself in different scenarios, right? Different groups. But yeah, I came to realize that a lot of it was like, no, you can't do this, or no, you can't cover this. And I guess that's my next question, right? Who decides what becomes important news? I mean, I know you can't give me names or anything, but maybe a position.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much info, but I will say when I worked in news every day. I worked at KTSM at first, and which they owned the KDBC, and then I went to KFOX, and then KDBC was also over there. So at either station, any station, you have meetings every day to go over the news and what stories we're going to run. And I was a producer, so I wrote the newscast and helped organize them and graphics, videos, everything like that. But I couldn't run something without first, the news director would make sure it was okay. But I will say I do think that sales had a little bit of say in that. Sometimes, for example, I feel like we would hear things, and this is just an example, okay? I'm not saying this really happened.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe something happened at a car dealership. Well, that car dealership's like a major advertiser. So do we want to run that story and cause beef with them, sort of thing? Saw that from time to time as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, you see that. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's definitely some sort of bias based on, and you see this on shows, right? Like in every show, is like there's always people trying to hide stories and stuff like that, which kind of sucks. It sucks in the sense of because the news journalists are supposed to be the people that tell us the truth and keep us informed. So I guess would you say is the public more informed or managed by these companies?
I would say overall informed. But to me, and this is just my opinion now, I think it also depends on what show you're watching, right? If you're watching something that is tied to a Fox affiliate, well, they tend to be more conservative. If you're looking at CNN, they tend to be more liberal. So I feel like it's kind of going to be twisted a little bit to either side of who owns it at the end of the day as well.
Did you ever have to, yourself being the producer, did they ever put you in a position to where you had to hype a story up that was not as like big?
No.
All right, that's cool. Okay, so now I guess journalists, right? I don't know, are you familiar with Candace Owens or not really?
Owens, yes, a little bit.
Okay, so I mean, I don't really want to get into her. I see her being an investigative journalist, right? But she's more social media, more influencer. So do you think or do you feel like influencers are now competing with journalists? And if so, who do you trust more?
It really depends. When I worked at KTSM, somebody I really looked up to was Ben Swan. He was a great journalist.
Yeah.
He's no longer working for a company, he has done his own thing, and I love watching his stuff. I constantly send it to my husband because that's my best friend and we kind of have similar views. So if we'll be talking about something, I'll see him run something and I'll send it to him like on Instagram.
Yeah, I've seen because he started off like conspiracy theorist kind of stuff, right?
You could say that, or is it really the truth? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've seen a lot of his clips and I'm like, dude, yes. And I think we need more of that, I think we need more of that because like, yeah, like in a sense where we don't get the full story, with like the big ones, right? ABC, Fox, all those. We know that, like you said, some are more liberal, some are more conservative. So we know we're not going to get the full story. So I feel like the influencers are needed. I guess, they're the boots on the ground that kind of will give you a different perspective. Maybe it's not always true, but definitely I think it helps.
I think so too. And then kind of the same thing there, like if they, depending on how they think, if they do tend to sway like conservative or Republican, are they going to kind of put that angle on their stories? So kind of how you said, well, Ben Swan seems like a conspiracy theorist. Is that him putting his angle? Like, so I think all around, the best thing we can do is do our own research as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I go back to the quote, right? The Jill Scott quote, the television or the revolution will not be televised. So I do encourage people just to not just look at the, mainstream media and kind of do look into these journalists that are just, influencers, because some of them I think have good points, so I'll be watching videos and I'm like, oh shit, this guy may not be real, but it's definitely a different perspective.
Absolutely.
So, okay, reason I said you kind of said that you left just because you didn't have it wasn't as what you thought it was going to be, right? When you started it.
Not in the sense of not being able to, in the content, it was more about the money.
Okay, so that's when you decided like real estate is the place to go, or how did you determine real estate was the next step after media?
Kind of a lot of things, Victor, but as I said earlier, I got pregnant young, so I grew up in our household being told, go to college, go to college. So that was my first thing. Okay, let me go to college. And I graduated high school. I got pregnant ahead of my junior year in high school. I started enrolling in college classes before I graduated. I got my bachelor's degree when I was 20 in marketing and journalism. And at that moment in my life, I thought, yes, I have made it. Like, we're going to be okay. And I was, within a year, I realized I was wrong. I was lucky enough to get a job at KTSM a few months after graduating. And I got on full time a few months after that. And I remember coming home crying and telling my husband they only wanted to offer me $26,000 a year. And the year is
Wow.
The year is
Wow.
2012, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, back then I had friends graduating college and becoming teachers, and I'm seeing them make the mid-40s salaries. So back at that time, that's a decent wage for El Paso. And my husband was like, did you think that you're going to graduate and get on making like a salary like that? I said, I did. And he was like, this is your first big girl job. Like, you got to work your way up. And so I said, okay, you're right. But Victor, my checks were less than $400 a week writing newscasts.
Wow.
And I was like, I thought I had done everything right going to college, and I'm not against college at all. But I think it depends on what you're going for, right? In this case, that's not a lot of money. I mean, shoot, my friends were making more at call centers, and here I am. And you would think with what I was doing, I was making decent money.
No, and then the hours you put in, like I know at times you have to be there like at 4 in the morning, like I know I don't know the life like that, but I've known people tell me about it, and because I did my research too, that like I said, that's what I wanted to do myself. But a lot of it was kind of like, nah, I think I'm good. That's crazy
Yes.
though. That's. I hope they're paying more now. That's horrible.
I'm sure that they are. My son, who we'll probably talk about later, he wants to get into the industry. So I told him, really, really do your research. And I think now the wages are probably more, but I realized, like, you know what? If I want to make decent money, I'm going to have to move. The job was not flexible. And it wasn't really a job that would, flexible with children. I mean, unless you're main anchor, right? And you have a lot of flexibility, but writing the newscast, you don't really have flexibility to step out, like have lunch with your kid, go to their performance at school, take them to a doctor's appointment. And after KTSM, I went to KFOX. I was making a little more money there. But it would get so stressful, like when my kids would wake up sick. I mean, things happen, right? And at that time, I was covering the 5 p.m. newscast, so I'd go in at 9. Well, if my kids are waking up and I'm finding out they're sick, it was so stressful. I mean, my husband was trying to work up his way up the corporate ladder at his work, so he didn't want to call out. They had a rule for us to try to call out 8 hours ahead of time so they could kind of find like a sub. They didn't, but usually we would run on a skeleton crew, and we didn't really have anyone. So it was just like, wow, I'm not making the money I thought I would, and this is stressful.
Yeah. Like it's not worth it at the end of the day.
So that paired with, while I'm working here, we buy our first house. And since I like to research, there were little things I wish we would have known ahead of time. And I'm researching and I'm researching. And my husband's like, you should be a realtor. And I was like, no way, I have no sales experience. Like, I don't think I can do it. And he's like, I think you can. Like, I think you can. Why don't you try to sell my car that he was trying to sell? Do an experiment. Victor, I sold his car in 5 days.
Wow.
So
Okay.
he's like, okay. And then my dad said, you know what? I'll pay for you to get your real estate classes. So I'm like, okay, my contract was up, was going to end at KFox, and it was up for renewal. They told me they wanted me to stay, and I said, I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go after real estate. And I was nervous. Although I wasn't making a lot of money, at least I knew I was going to get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. And look, two things that I get from all that, right, is one, don't join media. Two is you have a very, I guess the relationship between you and your husband, that he was able to encourage you to do this. And I think that's the most important thing in that story, because if not, who knows? If he doesn't believe in you to actually go through it, if you don't believe in yourself to actually go for it, then you would probably still be there, or I hope not, but who knows? And that's good to hear, honestly. So, okay, I want to jump into real estate just because, I mean, that's what you're doing now. We're going to do a rapid fire. I'm going to ask you a couple questions and then you answer them as we go. Cool?
Cool.
All right. So we're going to start with uh, uh, um, buyers or sellers. Which one would you prefer?
I like them equally, Victor. I love helping first-time home buyers, and I love helping people list their houses.
Awesome. Open house. Love or hate them?
I love them, and I love to bring alcohol to them.
Most emotional client moment that you've had?
I got tested this year. I got a referral from a friend, and I'm so appreciative of her. And he was a machista. He was actually in the DFW area, but he was from Mexico. And I really think that he was sexist. And I'm glad that I came into contact with him. It helped me build character and realize that there's still men out there who don't see women as equals. And at the end of the day, I sold his house. But he had to, it took a while. He would put up a lot of resistance with the suggestions and the feedback we were getting. And ultimately, when he agreed to follow it, the house sold quickly.
Awesome. Okay. In a few words, best advice you have for first time buyers?
Do your research. Trust, make sure you find a realtor you trust, even if you have to interview a few, but do your research as well, specifically on different loan programs that are available to you out there.
Gotcha. So since you mentioned loans, okay, one of the biggest things right now on social media is the 50-year loan that Trump kind of introduced. I don't know if that's in full effect. Can you give us some details on that if you're knowledgeable on it?
From my understanding, it's in process. There's a lot of people bashing it from what I see online. I'm kind of excited about it.
Okay. So right now it's like 36, right? 36 or 30 years?
The average, there's different ones out there. The average one that most people go after is 30. I have been seeing some lenders do 40. But you can do like a 10, a 20, a 30, 40, and now maybe 50 years.
Maybe a 15. Gotcha. Now, along with the research, right, comes finding a realtor. What separates a good from a bad realtor?
There's a lot of people who get into the industry for money. In fact, I've interviewed with brokers, and the first thing that they say is, "What are your goals for next year? How much money do you want to make?" And one, I told them I don't think we're a good fit for each other, because I told him I don't go based on that. I got in the industry to help families, so I'm after helping as many families I can and educating them. And he thought that was crazy, and I was like, I am not joining your brokerage. On the flip side of that, I've had brokers really admire the truth I speak.
Gotcha. And the reason for my question is like, okay, I guess I'll kind of give you my experience, right? I was looking to buy a home, and then I know a lot of realtors, and a lot of them were like, "Dude, you don't really need a realtor," and I was like, "Okay, but I don't know shit about it, you know? So what the hell?" So to the people that have that mentality, you don't need a realtor, you can do it all by yourself. What are the advantages of having a realtor with you through the process?
We are constantly required to take continuing education, and I think that's great. If we don't follow that step, we can't keep our license active. So we're constantly staying up to date on changes in the industry, and it's constantly changing and evolving. You absolutely can buy your house yourself, but this is the biggest purchase of your life, and there are so many legal things that could go wrong. When you use a realtor, they're using forms that are proclamated by Texas brokers and attorneys. They serve as a protection to the buyer and the seller, and they're walking you through this process to help you avoid any kind of legal repercussions should something, God forbid, happen.
Gotcha. Well, look, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you a video. Grant Condone, you know who he is, right? So
Yes.
I'm gonna play one of his videos, and I want to get your perspective on this and see what you think.
This is my house. It ain't your house. You're a partner in this house with the state.
Your recommendation to a normal family would be to rent?
Never buy a house. Rent where you live. Take all your money and invest in properties that cash flow. I'm not saying don't own real estate. I'm saying live in a house and pay rent. Take all the money that you would have spent on that house and invest in real estate that cash flows, that pays you every month. Could be retail, storage, apartment buildings like we invest in. Could be land. If you're a farmer or a rancher and you know how to get cows to cash flow, then do that.
All right, so I'm
Victor.
putting you in the fire. I'm putting you in the fire a little bit. Let me get your perspective on this.
Okay, we're not supposed. I told you I was going to say my opinion and everything, but I kind of almost feel like there's an agenda right now, like aimed at like young people, millennial, Gen Zs, to rent. To me, Victor, something that the reason I love real estate is kind of piggybacking off of what I said. I thought I did everything right, going to college, having this job in news. I realized then, how the hell was I ever gonna be financially free? Real estate is how I got there. And I'm not saying that you need to be an investor, that you need to get into the industry, but we all need a roof over our heads. So why not buy it? Yes, he's right. You're always gonna pay property taxes and insurance even after you pay off your note, but it's going to be substantially less than many rent values at that time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because I mean, when I saw the video, I was like, "Damn, he makes a good point." But ultimately, I mean, he's in real estate, so I think that is still, you know what I mean? Like it's like going to buy like anywhere when I go buy something, right? A car, a phone, whatever. I always look at what the salesman has, right? Because I've been in sales my whole life, so I know there's an agenda being pushed somehow, right? Something gives him a higher commission, so I want to see what he has, kind of to be like, okay, why does he want me to go over here if he has this? It's kind of like that's the way I see this. He's telling us to do something, but he's in real estate as well. So I think the investor part can, like, I did investing in it for a little bit. I didn't like it just because I was like, we had to like lowball this is like viejita, you know, and I just didn't feel right doing it. And maybe it was just that scenario, but I was just like, nah, dude, this ain't for me. Just like you know, because I get into sales to help people. Yes, the money is good, right? It's good to have money, but that's not the big thing for me. But no, yeah, I just thought it was really interesting seeing that video, and I'm like, dude, this guy's like the shit in real estate, and he's telling us not to buy something. That's weird. It was weird to me.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example, Victor. I'm trying to get my parents to move over here, and they could sell their house in El Paso, come over here where we're at, and buy a house cash. And we looked at numbers on a house they liked, and their taxes and insurance would be $400 a month for a nice house. And so, yes, would they be paying that the rest of their life because they have to pay well, they don't have to have insurance if they own the house outright, but it's highly encouraged, right? But I mean, those two things in 2025, having that kind of payment for the roof over your head it's not bad.
No, it's not. Definitely not. So I guess since your parents are going to be or thinking of selling at least, can you give me the biggest mistakes buyers or sellers make?
Sellers focusing on numbers, trying to make top dollar. Saw that a lot this year. In DFW with a saturated market with over 4,000 resale homes on the market. Buyers not really thinking out their plans long term. And I say that because a lot of people like brand new houses. They're beautiful, but how long are you going to be there? Because let's just say you don't know. You don't know your life plan, right? But you want a new house, so you buy it. Well, life happens. You need to move in 2 years. Well, now you're a resale house. If your neighborhood's still being built up, then you're competing now with the house down the street that's new with probably a lower interest rate from the builder, lots of incentives, and here you are hoping someone will look at your house that's been lived in, and you can't offer that lower interest rate. And sometimes in that situation, people don't walk away with equity. So I think just trying to figure out your 5-year plan, your 2-year, your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan when buying a house is important.
Gotcha. Okay, this is just like a curiosity question, and just I don't know why it just came to me right now.
Sure.
But there's the misconception of you have to tell people when somebody dies in the house. Is that true or no?
Not if it's natural causes, but you are supposed to disclose if there was like a murder there. And I mean, sometimes you won't even know because let's say there was a murder there. And let's say the homeowner got murdered, right? And the house, they're dead, and the house ends up getting foreclosed on. A bank picks it up, and maybe an investor buys it. Well, if they didn't know all that information because they got it from the bank, then they have no way to tell you that. So again, that goes back to people doing their research as much as they can too. Because they wouldn't have known that it wouldn't have had to be disclosed.
So there's two type of realtors, right? The business person that kind of handles their shit as a business, or the one that just kind of does it here and there, kind of like a side project. Which one do you consider yourself as?
When I got into the industry, my goal was to be just a mega badass. I think just coming from a job where maybe I was making take home of like $2,000 a month after taxes to maybe I sell one house and let's just say I got $6,000. It's like I was so okay with that I said, you know what, I have the freedom now to actually be a mom, to go have lunch with my kids, to be there for those performances. Time is going by so quickly. I lost a lot of time with my oldest, just trying to work my way up in news, that I said, I'm gonna just appreciate them now. And I've told my husband, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself when they're out of the house. At that time, I know I want to just throw myself into the business and hit it hard.
Gotcha. And I guess that's where I was going, right? How do you manage the madness, right? How do you manage, because you have two kids, right?
Yes.
Okay. How do you manage their schedule, your husband's schedule, and then yourself, and try to keep it all together?
So my name's on the license, but it's really a family business. For
Awesome.
example, if I have an open house, you know, my husband might be at the store getting the goodies, the champagne, everything I need. The three of them might be setting up the signs. The three of them might come in, help me kind of clean the house, make sure it looks good. Let me do my thing, and then they might be back later to help me gather all the stuff. So really, everyone plays a role, even if I have a crazy day of showings. If my husband's at work, if my older one's at practice, it could fall under my son, even when he was like in third grade, needing to make like a basic spaghetti dinner.
Mm, mhm. Okay. Yeah, and I know just because the time management is huge, right? Time management is like having a superpower, I believe, because so easy to lose it. And I guess that's my next question, right? Time management. Any advice you can give to any other realtor that is trying to get into the business and trying to see if the work-life balance is worth it?
So the work life balance, I think a common misconception is like, oh, like you get to make your own hours. And that's true, but it's not. A lot of times when I have a buyer, or with my buyers, I'll try to morph myself to their schedule. Not everyone works 8 to 5. Or if they do, then they want to look at houses in the evenings or weekends. That's when my kids are off school. So I'm missing family dinner. I'm missing, maybe a baseball game on the weekends. But they're so supportive with it. So you're not going to have the flexibility that you think. But then on the flip side, let's say I didn't see them one week, maybe I can make up for it by going to have lunch with them at school or something. But the biggest advice I could give anyone, like whether they want to get into the business or not, is get up early. Get up hella early. It's easy when you come from working a normal job to starting a business to be like, I'm just going to sleep in tomorrow. Like, that is the worst thing you can do. Get up early, get up before your family, and start organizing your time.
Yeah. Has there been a time where you miss out on a deal because something happened with your kids?
You know, we have these things called buyer rep agreements, and I think they're a great thing because I do have that sometimes where people don't want to wait. And to me, if you don't want to wait, I try so hard to accommodate people or have teammates if I can't be there. But if you can't respect me because I can't show you a house because it's my kid's birthday party, I don't want to work with you.
Yeah, unfortunately, there is people like that, and I don't know why. Like, if you tell me, "Hey, my kid is, whatever," I'm gonna be like, "No, well, you're good," But I have gotten clients like that as well. So yeah, fuck those people. I'm just kidding. Um, Working commission based, right? So I mean, I've had jobs like that, and sometimes you're just like, "Fuck," like, what the hell am I gonna do? How having kids, right, is super difficult. So how do you balance that? Just working off straight commission, and let's say your kids want certain things. Is it better, or would you like to go back to a salary job?
Um, if I could tell myself so many things from when I was younger, but one thing is go after it. Don't be afraid to take the jump because Victor, when I see my salary from when I was in news, I'm like, pennies, just pennies.
Yeah.
But I guess, I'm sorry, I know that was only like one part of your question.
No, 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 you're good. You're good. It's just that a lot of people they see it as a like, oh fuck, commission? No, hell no, or they want more security. And I mean, for me, what it means is time. It means you're gonna have to put a lot more time to get what you want out of it, opposed to a salary. But then there you have those jobs that the salary is trash, and the amount of work that you're gonna be doing doesn't equate. That's why I ask, like that's why I asked that. If just working commission is it as stressful as people think it is?
So I thought news was stressful, right? Because you could have your whole newscast lined up, and then 10 minutes before, there's a crash on I-10 and you have to just change everything and be multitasking. But the stress ends when the newscast ends. Here, you're dealing with the biggest purchase someone's ever going to make, and that can be so stressful. I always see different things, but I think the biggest thing is you will be as successful as you want to be depending on how much time you want to invest in any business you do.
Gotcha. Now, okay. So we went from news to now your real estate, but I think one of the biggest accomplishments in your life has been motherhood, right? So
Yes.
has motherhood made you a better negotiator to your business, or how has it helped you in business?
I think having my oldest so young at 17, I know that, we're parents, right? That's not news any parent wants to hear, that their child is going to have a baby, but that really fueled something inside me. I know a lot of people didn't believe that I was going to be okay, and I really wanted to make sure that my son, and now my two sons, and even my husband, that they see that you can do anything you want to do. And it's not the best thing, but I do love proving people wrong. And I don't think that if I would have had my son that early, that I would be this disciplined. I was always very much, I have always put a lot of pressure on myself to achieve things, but that made me grow up. And like I said, maybe if I wouldn't have had him, I would just be partying. I mean, my dad's almost 70, and some of his friends from high school, they just party. And I'm not saying I don't party at all, but I don't have time for that. I'm building a business and showing my kids, being an example to my kids.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I mean, I see the Black Mamba thing you have in the back. And I think that is the mentality that you've had, even back then, because adversity, we're all going to get hit with adversity at one point. You got hit with it real early, which honestly, maybe back then was kind of like fuck. But now look at you, which is it's awesome. So congrats on that, props on that. And not a lot of people would have done it, so definitely congrats. What does
Thank
success
you.
actually mean to you?
You know, for me personally, it's being able for us to leave our kids with something, even though they're not expecting it. But I could never not work. It's just in me because of what I just told you. But I think if you're living a life that makes you happy, you're there. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom and you want a big family and you're able to do that, you're there. For me, this is success to me, what I'm doing here.
Awesome. All right, I have one more question for you. And it's, if your kids were to watch this, what do you want them to take away from this interview?
Ooh, I hope I don't start crying, but um, my oldest, like I said, he changed my life for the better. He's such a good kid. Both of my kids are such good kids, and I just try to be a role model, and I hope they're proud of me.
Awesome. Awesome. And like I said, your adversity, I think, has been harder than other people's, and congrats on overcoming it. I want to thank you for your honesty, your time, and thank you for all the work you do for your clients, for your family. It's inspiring. It's good to hear. And yeah, any last end up, or where can people find you if they wanted to buy a house?
I try to be very casual, Victor. I try again, this is like the biggest purchase, and I try not to be super salesy. So, you can find me on social media, Christina Torres. My number is 972-876-0212. And you'll find me in El Paso, Dallas-Fort Worth, and soon Huntsville, Alabama.
Most random place, but I hope you kill it over there.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, dude, for coming on. And thanks to everybody for watching. Everybody have a good one.
Thank you.